Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being at this meeting. I'd like in particular to welcome Claire Coghill, the leader of Waltham Forest, and Will Tuckley, the Chief Executive Officer of Tower Hamlets. They're leading on our LGA peer review. A number of you, I think, will be seeing them tomorrow. Are there any apologies? I don't think there are. Any declarations of interest? Thank you. We last met on the 14th of October. The minutes of that meeting agreed. Thank you very much. We're on item 4, and I'd like to ask Councillor Natasha Hines, who chaired the Scrutiny Task Group on Children's Mental Health here in London Borough, Merton, to present us with her report. Claire, Natasha, over to you.
Hi. It seems like a million years ago since we started the task group and started looking into the mental health offer for young people in Merton. We, on CYP, decided at first to look at the offer for postnatal attachment and that whole area, because we all know that that is a very key part of a child's life. However, we quickly discovered that Merton's offer was actually pretty good, and it would have been a bit of a waste to spend too much time there. We did find, however, that once the child went into school and we went into that system, the picture became a bit unclear, and people were very keen to help, but not quite knowing where to go and where to get that help and how to best help our young people. So we heard from a range of people. We heard from a wonderful group called Hearts and Minds, which is a peer support group operating in our borough out of the Wimbledon Library in the art space. And they gave evidence and told us about how confusing it can be and how lonely it can be, being a young person with mental health issues in Merton. We went and looked at all of the youth centres, and great offer we have for young people to just be young and have a lot of fun and meet each other. And we spent a lot of time with youth inclusion. And we also spent time with the youth parliament. And as I said before, it was one of the most depressing nights of my life, because when you hear a bunch of 14-year-olds talk about how much pressure they're under and how scared they are of failure, it just breaks your heart, because you know that they've got a lot of things to come and a lot of joy to come their way. So we made some quite robust recommendations. Really, I think one of the best ones was around piloting social prescribing for young people. There was this sense of it can be quite lonely to be a young person these days. You kind of assume that young people are all out and about and chatting on social media, but that's not actual human interaction, and it's not building those soft skills that people have in life. So the idea of piloting social prescribing for them at that young age came out. And also to not completely ignore the postnatal attachment. Maybe that could be a report to scrutiny or a task group in the future as things move on. So yeah, that's basically it. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Well, thank you very much for your work on the task group. I'll ask Kelly Braun, Councillor Kelly Braun, Cabinet Member of the Special Responsible for the Portfolio, and go on to Rachel Bordeaux, the Director. Kelly first.
So, as always, a big thank you to Councillor Owens, the task group members, and Scrutiny Officer Stella for all the work put into this report, and, as you say, the robust recommendations. I'd also like to take the time to thank the parents and voluntary groups and community groups, our amazing youth parliament, and the youth groups who gave their time and shared their views and experiences, as well as our colleagues in the CCG, who are, of course, critical partners in this area. As the report rightly points out, there is more awareness than ever about children's mental health and emotional well-being, but more can always be done and should always be done to ensure that the provision that we have here in Merton is appropriate and accessible at all levels. I welcome and endorse the report's recommendations, And on a personal level, as a personal first step, I'm due to start training as a youth mental health first aider in January, as part of a service commissioned by our public health team here. So I'd encourage all members of the Cabinet and wider colleagues here to look out for such opportunities, because they are available here, and we know how critical some of that work can be. So once again, thank you to the task group for looking into this very necessary deep dive for us at an appropriate time that will help us in building our support for these young people in the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Braun. Rachel, did you want to add anything directed to children, schools and families?
So a couple of things really. First, obviously, to thank the task group. I think it's a tremendous piece of work. I'd like to thank them for their positive comments about some of the things that we did exceptionally well during the Borough of Children and Young People, and those were very welcome. I concur with their findings when there is still more work to do. And we'd like to kind of reassure colleagues around the table the focus on children's and adolescent mental health in the Mental Health and Care Together plan, the work that we're doing collaboratively with our CCG colleagues, absolute key priority in the Start Well part of that programme.
Thank you very much. Any Cabinet contributions? Councillor Lakshmi Attawar.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Councillor Irons for the work that has been done by the task group, and in particular commend the recommendation which ensures that the work of the trailblazer, which is underrepresented and seldom heard, such as the BAME and the LGBT community, which is really good to see.
Thank you, Councillor Edith McCall.
Yeah, I just want to mention that as well. And also, I would like to emphasize the lead members in school governors participating in this scheme, which is very important and will play a pivotal role in terms of how we deliver our, our aspirations as school governors. I'm delighted with that. So that's good.
Thank you very much. I think we're at the recommendation stage. We have recommendations A to C. Thank you to Natasha for her report. Are those recommendations A to C on children's mental health scrutiny task group, are they agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. We move on to item 5, the delivery of the regeneration of Morden Town Centre. I will assume that we've all read the exempt paper and noted it so that we don't have to pick out our public. Something we don't like to do, but I know that all cabinet members have noted the exempt paper, the green paper, as we discussed delivery of the regeneration of Morden Town Centre. Councillor Martin Welton.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, formally move the recommendations contained within this report. Moving forward with Morden Town Centre regeneration is a key priority for this council. The regeneration itself will deliver up to 2,000 new homes with at least 40% of that affordable as well. It's also a key priority of the council, but also a challenging one as well, as we ask Cabinet to give approval in order to go to market. As you will see within this report, there's over 350 different leasehold and freehold ownerships in Morden. Whilst Merton is council's significant landowner, TfL is a major landowner as well, and it requires us as a local authority to work closely with them in terms of bringing this scheme to market. It's also something as well in terms of the comprehensive regeneration of Morden Town Centre. We know that Morden desperately needs to be improved. When you walk outside of Morden station and you see that wall of buses pumping out diesel fumes, hopefully electric, but soon, but it's not the most advertising sight. So when you arrive in Morden, you don't tend to stick around and people tend to leave the area. So alongside delivering up to 2,000 new homes, it's essential as well that we improve the public realm for the town centre. So that's removing the buses, relocating the buses, but also as well the look and feel, but also as well making it a place that people actually want to stay and visit. We've got some great resources in terms of Morden. We've got the only National Trust Park in London, in Morden. That's something that does bring people to the area. But the retail itself is drab, it could be much improved, but it obviously needs to have the footfall as well. Clearly the council is a big supporter, being the main employer here, but we also as well want to use this 12 million people a year use Morden tube station. People keep coming from miles around and actually making it an attractive place as well. We also as well want to take advantage of our good transport links we have with London. We're lucky Merton is unique in having all four forms of transport here, but having a direct line and tube line to London with a frequent service, it is an attractive place to live. But also as well in terms of actually a more affordable area of London compared to many parts. The big growth in terms of regeneration schemes is in zones 3, 4, which is Morden Town Centre as well. In order actually to deliver this scheme as well, we have the TfL Land Fund. We have been granted £54.5 million from the Land Fund to assist with the assembly of land within Morden Town Centre. However, this comes with a proviso in that we will have to undertake an estate ballot of 44 homes, which is within the boundary of the proposed regeneration. Clearly the release of that is conditional on a successful ballot. I have no doubt that as a council we will obviously do extensive engagement as we go forward, because this is a scheme which I believe will actually benefit the residents of Morden in terms of the improvement of the area, but also as well in terms of our commitment as a local authority in terms of the investment within the town centre as well. So it requires us as well to put capital investment into the centre. We have money in terms of the land fund, but also as well in terms of our own procurement and in terms of our own resources to support the ongoing regeneration, because there will be a lot of work that will be required over the next year in the town centre as well. This is a project which will be a long-standing project. It will be delivered over 10 years. It is one of the most important projects that this council is undertaking, and I ask Cabinet to approve the recommendations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Welton. Can I ask Chris Lee, Director of Environment and Regeneration, do you want to add anything?
Nothing to add, Chair.
Thank you. I open up to any Cabinet members who wish to discuss this. I know we've discussed Morden Town Centre regeneration for some time. We are there, and we're on the cusp of setting an exemplar for suburban model design and linking a National Trust Park with a great town centre. Okay, so we're on item 5. We're talking about the delivery of the Regeneration Morden Town Centre. We need to note the exempt paper. I know we have. We're aware of it. Is that agreed? And that's recommendations A to K. Are they agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. We now move on to item 6, the award of concession contract for the provision of bus shelters, freestanding units, and associated 6-sheet advertising concession contract, grouping stuff. Item 6, Councillor Martin Welton.
Thank you, Chair. I move the recommendations as formally outlined in the report. The Council's contract with the current supplier for the provision of bus shelters, freestanding units and associated 6-sheet advertising expires at the end of this year. This is a concession contract whereby the Council receives maintenance, installation and management of the physical bus shelters and freestanding units, free advertising space and income from the provider derived from their advertising revenues. This has been a long-standing contract that has been in place now for 20 years. During that time, income has increased annually above the RPI, and there has been variations which have extended the contract and upgraded the number of paper screens to digital in key locations. Each variation has increased the Council's income. As an authority, we know we have to grow revenue as a council, so we have undertaken an extensive procurement exercise to retender the contract, and prior to this we undertook soft market testing. It was a contract that was undertaken under OJU, and the invitation was placed on the tenders portal on the 1st of August 2019. The evaluation process took place in September, and the recommendation is to award this new contract to the most economically advantageous bidders. So it will impact share across 135 bus shelters in the borough, 39 freestanding units. We have to understand the media has changed since the last time this contract was awarded. I believe that this contract does provide best value for the council, but also as well allows us to increase the income as well, and in this financially challenged time, that is incredibly important. So I ask Cabinet to approve the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I turn to Christine to see if he wants to add anything. Thank you. Directly coming up with the contributions. I think this is fairly straightforward. Well, item 6, bus shelter advertising. Regulations A and B, noting the exempt report in item 12, which I know you've all noted. Is that agreed? Regulations A and B. Thank you very much. On item 7, Council Tax Support Scheme 2020-21, Councillor Mark Allison.
Thank you, Leader. And I should draw attention to the work that obviously David Kepler and his team have done over many years on this. And it's almost an annual event for me to thank him and his team for the hard work that they do delivering good services to some of the people who need our help the most in the community. So please pass on that annual thank you. And also to Caroline as Director as well for the work that she puts into the scheme. We're obviously in a political period, so I have to be very careful in how I talk about the Council Tax Support Scheme. But in so doing, I do want to say that we've always felt it's very important. It's part of our values and what we stand for as a council, that we help those who need our help the most. We know that council tax can be very expensive for people, and particularly it is quite a regressive tax, and we don't want to add to the pain of people in our community from working age families who struggle the most financially. We want this to be a great place for families. We talked about that as a council. But that means working families, and working families are the ones who are lose out by reducing the support that's available for working age families. So we've continued here to protect the funding for the scheme. We recognise that it means that it goes to help people who are less well off. So we reduce the gap that there would be between the well-off and the not so well-off in our community. So it fits the approach that we take. Financially, it is a very difficult period for local councils, but we do want to keep this going at least for another year. And we do appreciate the work that everybody in the council has done to support us in that over the years. And we recommend we keep it going for another year. So thank you, David. Please pass that on.
Thank you. Now turn to Caroline Holland, from Corporate Services. Caroline, did you want to add anything? Thank you. Any cabinet contributions? I know it's something that we are very much supportive of as we seek to help those in work on low incomes, on low pay, and I know that as Councillor Allison said, it strikes the chord of the values here. So we're on item 7, Council Tax Support Scheme 2020-21, recommendations 1 and 2. They agreed. Thank you very much. We now move on to item 8. That's a feasibility and the costings of a Council Tax Voluntary Scheme. Councillor Mark Allison.
Thank you, Valued. And having said that, I only say thank you to David once a year. I'd like to break all traditions and thank him a second time within 5 minutes for the work that's gone into the research into this. Just a bit of background. It was suggested at a recent council meeting that there might be the possibility of introducing a scheme similar to what's currently in place in Westminster. Where the wealthiest residents have been asked by the council there, those who live in Band H, to make voluntary contributions on top of their council tax. And we have agreed to look into that. We're a business-like council, so obviously we didn't want to rule anything out, but we wanted to look at the research and the data before we went further. We have looked into the data and done our research, and unfortunately it actually shows that there is a very limited chance that that scheme would work here. For the reason being that there's a great deal more wealthy Band H properties in Westminster, and the council tax there, because of the way the council tax works, I don't think it's particularly, I think it's a very progressive tax. It has meant that the people who are wealthy in Westminster pay only £1,400 a year. And what we've done is we've looked at a comparison of the number of people in Westminster who paid £1,400 plus £1,600 to bring them up to the same level as Band H people are currently paying in Merton, so around about £3,000. And we have discovered that just 3% of the residents in Band H in Westminster actually contribute more than a total of £3,000. And 3% of the number of people in Band H here in Merton would equate to perhaps only 2 residents. So if that were the case in Merton, it would clearly not be business-like for us to spend quite a lot of money on setting up a scheme, writing to smaller residents in Band H to encourage them to take part in the scheme, then for us to administer the scheme for only 2 people possibly to contribute, and then only by a very small amount on top of the £3,000 that they're already paying. So it's unfortunately, we thank Council for having raised the idea, but we have looked into it, and it is a non-runner in Merton. We do, having said that, still obviously encourage everybody who is well off in Merton, even those who aren't so well off in Merton, to think about making charitable donations. There are some fantastic voluntary sector organisations in Merton. I can speak with a great deal of experience about how good many of them are, and if people can contribute, that would be fantastic. However, it's not really going to be appropriate for us to administer a scheme to do that for them.
Thank you very much. Caroline Holland, did you want to add anything on that?
I suppose I just want to draw your attention to paragraph 2.23, where we say we will keep an eye on what other boroughs are doing. So certainly Kent and Chelsea are in the process of looking to consider a scheme, but again they're the 4th lowest council tax in London, so it's where if other boroughs who have a similar council tax banding to us, that we then look to see whether it's worthwhile considering doing this again, but not at this stage.
Okay, thank you very much. Any council contributions? This is quite straightforward. We've done the work. It's not feasible. That's what recommendations 1 and 2 say. Is that agreed? Agreed. Thank you. Now on item 9, and I know we're all mindful of the exempt report, and so we turn to award of corporate clean services contracts. Councillor Mark Allison again.
Thank you, Leader, again, and thank you to all of the officers who've been involved in this report and the procurement process in general. Councillor Martin has talked through already about some of the procurement processes that we go through. This scheme is for up to 5 years. We've looked at it in a very business-like way. We've measured each of the applicants based on the price of their bid, because obviously that's very important, but also the quality of their bid. And I think the key thing for us to bear in mind is that while the price of all 3 bids was really comparable, the single thing that's taken one of the bidders above all of the others has been the quality of the contract that they're going to be providing. I should also say that they're working with the living wage, and so on that basis, I think that we should go ahead the business-like way and approve this contract.
Thank you very much for that. I turn to Caroline Holland again. Did you want to add anything on this item, Caroline?
Nothing further to add.
Any councillor cabinet contributions? No, thank you very much. We're on item 9. We're awarding the corporate cleaning services contract 9 for the exempt report. Our recommendations 1 and 2 agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. We're on our final item, and that is the financial monitoring report for September 2019. Councillor Mark Harrison.
Okay, thank you, Ben Leader, and thank you to Caroline and Roger for the work that goes into this. But actually, this is one of those occasions where I probably have to thank virtually everybody who works in the organisation, because being careful with the money and with the budgeting applies to pretty much everybody who works at the council. And it might seem that, like, because the financial monitoring report is just something that always appears on all the cabinet papers, that we'll just take it for granted. But actually, detail the information that's in here that accounts for spending in each service area each month, and tells us whether we're on target for expenditure by the end of the year, is incredibly helpful to us. Particularly as we go into the spending, into the budget round. It helps for us to know what the actual spending in departments are, and if we see persistent trends in particular areas, then we can take action that leads to changes in our budget. And it's one of the things I think that's helped us to provide balanced budgets, or provide medium-term financial reports that balance each year. It has been very, very helpful, and we do appreciate the work that's in. Within the report, obviously, there's a number of overspends and underspends, variances in what's actually being spent compared to what's being budgeted, and also in there is details from the management team as to how we're responding to that, and the management action that's being taken to deal with everything that arises. So I think this is very good practice, and as we're at the halfway point where this is month 6. That we're looking at, we want to just emphasise how much we appreciate it as councillors to see this level of detail and this level of work going into it. It's very, very helpful to us, particularly as we come to make decisions. There's a number of changes to the capital programme that are outlined within here, which I'd like to recommend. The overall top level that we're looking at the moment is approximately 1.478 million of positive variance, meaning that we're going to be spending less than we'd anticipated by the end of the year. But that only accounts for 0.3% of the gross budget, so actually it's very close to being on budget at this stage. So please, as you filter back into your offices and senior teams tomorrow for the rest of the week, say thank you, and to impress upon people the importance of being careful with money, because we are, and that's important to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I add my thanks to everyone in the finance department and throughout the organisation. Caroline Holland, would you like to add something?
Yes, I just wanted to draw your attention to paragraph 1.2. We would normally have had a business plan update at this meeting, but due to the uncertainty regarding government funding, we've decided that we wouldn't be able to bring one. However, we are continuing with the first round of scrutiny. The commission is on Wednesday, and then there will be further proposals brought to the rescheduled December cabinet. This report, as it's a quarter report, also has our debt appendix, and this report in its total will be going on to a financial monitoring task group to be reviewed there as well, and that may be rescheduled either late December or early January. But some of the areas where there's been an increase in debt outstanding, in particular for environment regeneration and our legal shared service, we are chasing Wandsworth to make sure that they do pay for the services they have been receiving from us. So that's just in hand to give you that show.
Thank you. It's a good council to chase. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're on item 10 here, cabinet contributions. This is the monthly report we received with all the information we need, and as Councillor Allison has said, reminding his cabinet colleagues to delve deeply and thank the staff, and also to keep on top of the finances to We like to be a business-like council. We're on item 10. It's financial monitoring. We're coming up to 7:45. Its recommendations A and B. Are they agreed? Thank you. This concludes our meeting. Thank you very much.